Ladies and gentlemen, happy Tuesday. I got my friend Terence F. Clark with me tonight. I'm in a good damn mood. We haven't done a drum night in a long time. And, I'll introduce Terence in a moment here. And while you are logging on, make sure you get a beverage. Get your live tracks ready if there's something you want to play us, any questions. Now I'm going to start off with one of my favorite drummers in the whole world. Someone that, if I could get to play with, he'd be up damn near the top of the list. Doing the New Orleans thing. This is my man Stanton Moore. Terence, I just love this stuff. Drumline kind of vibe.
Yeah.
I love this stuff so much. Fishing Idaho on a Harley. How you doing, man? JJ Tatum. Mandy, good to see you out there. Dizzy Dad. Cyrus Green. Good to see you. Mr. Tonic Amps. Kyle Johnson. Be blank. How's everybody doing out there? Annie? We'll get rolling here in a second. Hope everybody's having a good Tuesday. Evening, David. Anna, how are you? Potato salad. All right. There's a little Stanton Moore for you, Terence.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know Stanton, but he's one of my very favorites.
I don't know him personally, but I know his work.
Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is Terence F. Clark. You go by Terence?
Yeah.
And it is really nice to meet you, man. Finally.
You too, man.
And thanks for jumping on this live stream.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah, I had for those of you that are wondering, I had the privilege of getting to hang with Keith Urban for a little bit in this past tour when he came through Virginia. And Terence hit me up on Instagram, and he was like, "Dude, I didn't know you were there." And as it turns out, you've been the drummer in a bunch of vids that I've done, especially that one with David Ryan Harris, right?
Yeah. That was when I first discovered you. Actually, it was incredible.
Yeah, so I remember watching that video, and I haven't rewatched it since we connected, but I remember going back and stopping a bunch and watching your drums, like all the little tiny drops, and pointing out like to be in a groove that big is a dream for players. You know what I mean?
Wow.
So it's a real treat to have you on here and talk drums, brother.
Thank you, man. I was humbled big time when I saw that video. David actually sent it to me. He's like, "Hey, man, this is a cool video, and he seems to really like you." So he was like, "Check it out." And so I checked it out, man. And your enthusiasm and your energy was just like much appreciated, especially at that time, because I mean that was early 2020. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of stuff happening, and then of course the changing of the world with COVID.
Yeah.
So it was you have a great energy. And so I really appreciated that out the gate from the beginning. So thank you for the love, bro.
Dude, it is my pleasure, man. I preach it all the time, and anybody that plays knows it's true that, you're only ever as good as your drummer or as bad as your drummer. And it's just true. It's the drummer's band, and we're just kind of in it, And so whenever I review music or show stuff to people, like as much as I'm a guitar player and I like to talk about guitar player things. Um, if the drummer steals the show, the drummer steals the show, and that's just what time it is.
Right.
You know,
Right.
and I love
Yeah.
pointing that out. So like I mentioned to you off air, the way I kind of like to do these interviews is to have you bring some tracks and kind of get to know you through the music you chose to bring.
Yeah.
And if anybody out there also has any questions, anything they'd like to play for Terence, feel free to drop it in the chat. And Terence, if you see something in the chat, you can point it out to me, and I can pull it up on the
Okay.
screen, and we can chat about it.
Okay.
So, what's the first thing you brought, and why?
Oh man, it's not really any particular order.
It doesn't have.
Um,
All I ask you is just from looking at the one, you put me. You gave me the third one. I would like that to be last. I don't know if you looked at your list that you
which
sent
one's
me.
the third one?
It's the one. It's the one with Steve Jordan. Make that last.
Okay. All right. That's good.
All right. So pick any of the other ones and tell me where you want to start.
Well, the one with Vinnie.
All right.
All right.
So tell me
So
what we're about to pull up.
it's a video that I still can't find. It's from a Sting 80th birth some kind of birthday celebration concert he put together,
Yep.
and it's online. I don't know if you could even buy it, but he had different guests, and he had like Stevie Wonder, some different people, and this one is with Robert Downey Jr.
I see
that he
that.
can't. Yeah, he's singing, and it was incredible. And it's Vinny playing drums, and it's the level of energy from the top all the way to the end. His groove and how he lifts with dynamics, playing the same groove pretty much, but like how he just lifts it up more and more and more. He has different gears, and that's something that I always studied in how to switch gears in the energy and the dynamic and the intensity
Yeah.
and the way he's driving that groove. Oh my gosh, it's so exciting. It's one of my favorite clips. It's incredible.
Dude, I love it. I love when I know I'm going to see something I've never seen before.
Oh, you hadn't seen this? Oh
No,
man.
no, I haven't seen. I took a quick look at all four,
Uh-huh.
and I don't think I've seen any of them.
Oh man.
I only asked for the Steve Jordan last because if there's anyone that's going to have a copyright issue, it'll be that one, and so we'll.
Well, I hear you. I hear you. Well, and I mean, he's a friend and mentor, so he had to make the list. Of course, I could have made all of them his, but I had to diversify.
I get it. All right, so we just starting this one from the beginning.
Yeah.
All
We don't
right.
have to watch the whole thing, but I don't know. Whatever.
You let me know if we're
All right.
done. You wave your hand around.
Okay. Cool.
All right, here we go. This is "Driven to Tears." Robert Downey Jr. sings with Sting here. With Vinnie Colaiuta on drums. Let me know if that's better. 'Cause
How can you say that you're not responsible? What does he have to do with me? What is my reaction? What should it be?
he's really nailing that Stuart Copeland kind of vibe. Sting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Driven to tears, driven to tears, driven to tears. Have my face in my hand.
He sounds
She
good.
wears in my
Yeah, he's
robe.
incredible.
A comfortable existence is reduced to a shallow, meaningless party. Seems that when some innocent die, all we can offer them is a page in some magazine. Too many cameras and not enough food. This is what we're seeing. Driven to tears, driven to tears, driven to tears.
Robert Downey Jr.
Nothing
sounds great.
seems to get through.
Oh, he sounds incredible, bro. It's shocking, but not really.
Who knows what to do? Driven to tears. Driven to tears. Driven to tears.
That reggae breakdown is so good.
Driven to tears.
Yeah, it's very police.
So
Very,
good.
yeah.
Yeah. I'll keep playing it, but like Stuart
Yeah.
Copeland is also, I mean, one of my favorite drummers of all time. Like I've always
Hands down.
Yeah, I've always loved that one drop influence that just that is just in everything he does, you know?
Yeah. This whole groove reminds me of the Police, period. I mean, I think, I'm not sure if it's a Sting song or if it's a Police song, but either way, they're one and the same to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so
sure.
even the approach on the drums, you know, Vinny's tapping into that because it's very much that. It's very
right
much
there.
that.
It's right
Yeah,
there.
man.
Yeah,
It's incredible.
The snare is so crisp. It's just
Yeah, and just that bell work, just driving that bell. Oh my God.
Yeah, dude. All right, let's keep going.
Yeah.
Driven to tears. Driven to tears.
It is a Police song.
Nice.
How can you say that you're not responsible? What does it have to do with me?
Yeah.
What is my reaction? What should it be? Confronted by this sneakers atrocity.
Here we go.
Driven to tears. Driven to tears. Driven to tears.
Yeah.
Driven to tears. Driven to tears. Driven to tears. Driven to tears.
Yes, Sting.
It's so good.
Yeah, man.
It's the Robert Downey Jr.
It's so good.
Dude, that was exceptional.
Yeah. I mean, knowing that it's a Police song, which it makes sense, right? It's like,
Yeah.
I should be also, of course, I'm paying homage to Stuart Copeland because like that whole dynamic thing and his drive, that's him all day.
Yeah.
Like I've been in a big Police fix lately. I've been going back, listening to a lot of that stuff because I grew up on it. And it's like, oh my God, that energy. We don't really hear that kind of driving energy
Driving
in
is the
music.
word.
Yeah, in music anymore. You don't, from drummers especially, you don't hear that just driving. Like it's lacking. But also the style of music has changed dramatically. But I miss that kind of energy. It's
You mean like you're noticing a lot of tunes or a lot of artists coming out now where the drums aren't like driving the track forward?
Yeah, no, not at all.
It kind of like sitting in it, and you're not.
Yes, it's sitting in it in a certain way, which is fine. There's a lot of music that does that, but there is a certain kind of rock and roll element.
Yeah.
That is just like no one talks about rock and roll anymore.
It's gonna come back. It's gonna come back.
Yeah, well, it is, but it's also. I think it has not all rock and roll is created equal, as you know what I mean. But
yeah,
it's when I say rock and roll, I'm coming from so many different levels of interpretation, right? So rock and roll is in anything and everything really. It's just a driving
attitude,
live attitude. Yeah, man. Yeah, you can have rock and roll in hip hop. You can have rock and roll in blues and jazz. Like it's literally the rock and roll, bro. I can't really put it into terms where everybody understands.
I mean, I know what you mean in the way that we all feel it differently, but like when I hear you say that, I'm thinking of like I just I don't you don't have to be a fan or not, but I just went and saw Rage Against the Machine in DC a few weeks
Yeah,
ago,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah,
And
yeah.
it's
Oh
just
man.
and like what you said made me think of that, because I'm just like, what bands are coming out right now where like the drums are playing riffs and it's leading the song, like the drums and the bass are the song. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And and that's what you make me think of. Like when I think of Stuart Copeland, like when I think of the Police, like you can
It was him and Sting, man.
yeah,
Like this.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And like and the guitar was much more the flavor. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And like especially when you listen to a lot of reggae and you listen to a lot of the one drop stuff, like it's so easy for it to sit back kind of behind it and like and just
Hmm.
and fill it out. But Stewart is always one of those guys where it's like you wait and then like that snare like just came in like a
Yeah,
lightning strike, and it's
yeah.
like the beat is right before it.
Yeah, he's on top. He's on top. The
He's
energy's
on
on top,
top.
and that's the thing I could say that I've, as a drummer, I've learned. This is okay. So you're a guitar player. You understand this. I have this theory of my experiences playing with mostly guitar heroes, right? From Robin Ford to
Yeah,
Robert Cray, Boz Scaggs, Keith Urban.
you've played
A
with
lot of
Robert. You played with Robert Cray.
that's who I played with before Keith.
I didn't know that. I love Robert
Yeah,
Cray.
yeah, he's incredible. But like, I don't care what guitar player that exists. You all naturally play on top of the beat.
Yeah,
It's physics. It's physics. You playing a small string,
it's true.
and it takes up a very quick amount of space. So you're always going to be a little bit on top. So being a drummer that understands that, I always, well, I learned and I developed this understanding of knowing how to push and pull.
Yeah,
You're gonna push, and I can give you that energy, but I got to still reel you back to kind of keep that settled element of the groove. And that's the push and pull. That's what rock and roll is to me
yeah,
in any style. You know what I
yeah.
mean? If I'm playing country, if I'm playing blues, whatever, that's the push. The push and pull is how I articulate rock and roll.
I love it, man.
Yeah.
I love it. I can dig it. How did you? Just out of curiosity, how did you go from a Robert Cray gig to a Keith Urban gig? I mean, those are pretty different gigs, dude.
Yeah, it's extreme.
How does that? How does that happen? Because I mean, like, listen, I was blown away. Like, I'm obviously a fan of yours, but I was blown away by Keith's whole band.
Mm.
Like, it was super duper duper tight in that one way. But when I think Robert Cray, like, I think, man, there aren't many people that do
No.
the slow blues like he like where you have to. We texted a little bit about this, but when you have to subdivide in silence at such a slow pace, that is a totally different thing, man. Like,
Man, I gotta say this, man, straight up. I don't think I've said this enough, but Robert Cray is probably the most incredible, like one of the greatest guitar players alive right now. But
totally,
so underrated, like
totally.
beyond underrated. Like, and not just players, this man's voice with his playing. And I've had the pleasure. I played with him. I was in his band since 2017,
Wow.
before COVID. So I had the honor of understanding how he taps into his thing. The man's everything you hear from him, his sound is from his hands. There's no effects. There's no
Yeah.
crazy stuff like that. It's in his
You
hands.
hear the
And
fretboard shaking too. Like
oh my God, bro. Oh my God. You had like I can't put it into words, but what I will say is,
he play real loud so you can feel it too.
well, his dynamic range is bar none. Like
Well,
it's
that's
not
the thing. That's the thing. The
it's
dynamic range. That
yeah,
style of playing with the single coils, nothing. It's just
yeah.
guitar, cable, amp. I mean,
He could
whisper
he,
quiet to ice
we
pick.
could get exactly. We could get so low and be
Yeah,
playing. Man, that was the funkiest shit ever.
that is exactly,
I'm serious.
exactly.
It was like he'll just start getting down. He's rolling the volume with his pinky,
Yeah,
right? But he's still playing, and you just going and you just going, and everybody, the audience is screaming, and we're just still playing
yeah,
at a whisper, man. That was
That's the real
masterful.
stuff.
That's the real stuff, man.
That's the real
Period.
stuff.
Period. His tone, he's playing out of two matchless amps with a Fender.
Yep.
I forget what the Fender in the middle, but
Yep.
it's all tubes, and he plays really clean and bright. And he knows, like I remember when he was like, we were doing a sound check. I'm sorry if this is not interesting to a lot of people, but
no, look,
it's guitar.
Look,
like
they're following. He's playing a hardtail Strat into a matchless.
Yeah,
club.
there we go.
They know.
There we go. So I'm a drummer that freaks out about guitars.
You're on the right channel, dude.
Yeah. So his stuff. I remember one of the earlier times we were in sound check and he was doing his thing and he was telling his tech, "Hey Zach, we need to change the tubes." I'm like, "How do you know when you need to change the tubes?" He said, "Check this out." So he played a little bit, and I'm like, "Okay, cool. It sounds great to me." I'm like, "It's fine."
Yeah.
They changed them, and all of a sudden, this bright cut came back.
Yeah.
This thing that he noticed that no one else noticed, but I learned to notice, and I was like, "Oh my god!" Like that's part of the thing, man. And the drums were right behind his amp, so I'm right.
Yeah.
I'm getting all of it, so I can hear it.
He sets up right in front of your kick.
Yeah. Both matchless on the side, right here in front of the kick, and the Fender right in front.
Yeah.
So it's just I felt every note, you know. And man, that was some of the greatest years I've ever had touring with the artist. And I was honored to play the last record. We did it at Capitol.
Yeah.
With Al Smith engineering. Like it's a whole story behind that. But Robert Cray, easily hands down, one of the greatest guitarists in the world. And then Robin Ford is just freaking.
Yeah.
Oh my God, bro. Like I'll say it like this. Robert Cray is more of a blues soul artist.
Yeah.
Right? Because we're not doing a bunch of shuffles.
Yeah.
You know, he's a crooner. He could sing.
Yeah, he's singing.
Yeah. Robin Ford is a blues fusion player, right? Like his stuff is coming from like jazz. He came from Miles, man. He came from that world.
Yeah.
And so a lot of his stuff is really getting into some weird, crazy stuff. And I loved playing with him because he wanted you to just play, like have conversations and interact and things like that. So it's it's been crazy to play with those kind of people, man. And Keith, what I'm learning from Keith is that he's a player. He could play his ass off.
He really can.
Yeah, for real. But he's a performer. So a lot of things in the show is going to come from more of the performer standpoint than just like, let me show you I can play. Because most of the people in his audience don't get that, right?
When we got a chance to talk, that kind of came up a little bit, and it's I've always wondered what that might be like, because you know I've always been in the world of where not that you're always playing for other musicians, but at least like you might think you are, even if you're not, you know. And it's just like, 80% of the people out there are screaming girls that like don't know exactly.
They don't know.
Aren't even paying attention that you're playing guitar solo or anything. But dude, that was the first time I had seen him, and he had some of the best live tone in that type of setting I've heard from anybody too. Yeah.
Oh, he dials it in every day. He is particular about it every day.
Yeah.
Which everybody should be to a degree, I think, because every room and every space is different. You know, you feel different. Sure. You want the instrument to inspire you differently. So he's searching all the time, and that's inspiring for me, you know.
Well, let me ask you this. So did you go and search out, because you say you like nerd out on all these guitar players, did you go and search out these kind of guitar player centric gigs, or did they come and find you?
I think they found me, man. My earliest mentor here in Memphis was a guitar player. Yeah. And so I did a lot of recording first before I started touring as a young kid. And I was playing with a lot of Memphis legends, like some of the cats that played on all those great records, you know, that came out of Stax or Royal, you know what I mean? So I was always around kind of like guitar people, guitar driven music. So I think I was just developed being a drummer that speaks that language that people feel like I could play with them. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I didn't seek it out at all. Like, to be honest, I got the Cray gig because of Steve Jordan. He called me. He's like, "Hey, you want to play with Robert Cray?" I was like, "Sure." You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And then the key thing came about because my drumming peer, Aaron Sterling, reached out. He was like, hey, man, Keith is looking for a new drummer. I think you'd be a good fit. You know, is this something you think you might want to do? I was like, sure. You know, that's how a lot of things happen.
Yeah.
If people out here are curious, it's not always about the audition or how many posts you make about you playing.
Sure. Sure.
It's
People.
about getting, yeah, it's about people, getting to know people, getting out there and showing consistency of your work,
Yeah.
and having a sound.
Yeah.
Period. You
Yeah.
can't you can't search to sound like everybody else. You got to eventually find your thing and stick to it.
Yeah. So we'll move on after this in a moment.
Yeah, yeah.
But like when I was talking to Keith, that's another thing that came up is we were talking about how during COVID he kind of switched the band around. It's like it was a
Yeah.
good time, but it was also like kind of a terrible time to do that
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
But he was very much looking for a new sound and a different sound, and the drums was the first thing that he mentioned.
Wow.
That he was looking for a different thing. So what you said is the truth.
Yeah, yeah. Facts.
Yeah, facts. All right. Hit me with the next track and why. Which one do you want to do?
We could just play a little bit of the Fred Below.
Okay.
He's a legend, and he played on a lot of great stuff back in the day. I just like this clip because it's just another reminder of showing the importance of being able to sing while you play. I learned how to do that in church, my granddad's church. My dad was a music director there. He played organ, and he just always early on was like, hey, while you're playing, sing.
Yeah.
Learn how to do that. And so a lot of people think about singing drummers. First person they typically go to is Levon Helm.
Yeah.
And nowadays they go to Anderson .Paak. But there are a lot of people who the legacy of that goes way further than
Sure.
recent days. So I like to just try to remind people that, like, know your elders, understand where it comes from. And what he's doing in this clip, they show some clips of his hands. This dude's hands on the snare drum in his ride. When they show his face and they show his hands, it's like literally two different people.
Okay.
It's like there's no way. It's like he's singing and you wouldn't know he was playing drums.
Yeah.
It's insane.
All right. Before we do that, I just want to mention something real quick. That even if you're not singing into the microphone, I think it's always a great idea to practice singing while you're playing, even if it's not like a lead instrument. I mean, one of the things I used to always get I used to hate starting songs with people I wasn't used to playing with before. I played a bunch of cover bands and stuff. And I always found one of the tricks were if you sing along to the chorus, like in your head, like you're kind of on tempo, right?
Yeah, always.
And if you ever notice, like when a band's really clicking, and everybody knows the tune, like everybody's kind of singing, even if they don't have the mic. So that's just good practice in general for anybody listening.
Facts.
All right, here we go. Volume's a little lower here.
Yep.
That's YouTube for you.
They'll show him a little closer in a minute. His calm face. Just cool cat, man.
Yeah.
Turtleneck.
Yeah, turtleneck.
Come on.
Can you imagine?
Look at that. Look at that face. Just swag.
Yeah. A red turtleneck.
Yep.
With the jacket.
Exactly. Yeah. Look at these mics, though. Look at that mic over there.
Right? Just pointed straight down.
Yeah. Look at his hands.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's about it for that. Just like to show, like, the importance of keeping that groove and singing and just driving the band, having a
Yeah.
good time. You know,
Yeah, man. So do you ever have opportunities where you sing and play, like where you're leading?
I haven't in a long time.
Yeah.
Uh, that feels like a different life now. But yeah, it's been a long time since I've had to do that.
Yeah.
Um, I could always do backgrounds. I mean, when I was out with Boz, I was taking over for Teddy Campbell,
Yeah.
and he sings a lot of the background parts for that.
Yeah.
But they are not easy parts to just jump in and learn. The music is not easy to
Yeah, I bet.
jump in. So they allowed me to just play drums and not have to sing, so that was cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not as easy as it seems at
Oh,
all.
hell no.
No, especially trying to find certain notes. Like on that gig, I think Teddy's singing like the soprano part, so he's singing the highest part,
Yeah.
and you're trying to give a certain energy. I give him a lot of respect on that, man.
I'm endlessly amazed at drummers that can not only sing but hit harmonies in general, because as someone who has, notes in their hand, we can
Yeah,
cheat. We can hit a C the second before we have to hit a C. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah,
We have a basic idea of where it is. And so I'm always endlessly amazed at drummers that can harmonize and do shit like that, because that's really
yeah.
very
It's
much harder than people might know.
it is. But there's so many examples out there. Trust me. I mean, I could have gone deep, but I like to put Fred below on the radar of a lot of people. If you want to really know who he is, just go Google, check out his discography. You'd be surprised that he was the one doing some of the things that you might really love out there. So yeah,
Got it. On that note, Vandy and some of the other mods have been sharing Terrence's link. We got his website, we got his Instagram, his YouTube channel down there in the comments. Make sure you go give him a follow, check out what he's all about, and you feel like listening to one from the group.
yeah. What's they got? What they got?
All right, so one of the mods here, I have no idea what any of this is going to be, by the way. So one of the mods, Fishing Idaho on a Harley, says anytime someone says "Let's talk drummers," I point them to this video from Letterman, circa 2011. He says the best example of variety of sounds in a drum set I've ever seen. This is Gavin Harrison. Do you know who that is?
Yeah, I know that name.
Well, I'm not positive that I've seen this.
Fantastic, and
Here we
it's
go.
going to be great. He is a talented musician, best known as the drummer for the band Porcupine Tree, and his current CD, I have a copy of it right here, entitled Circles. Ladies and gentlemen, here's Gavin Harrison. Gavin.
I have no idea what this is. Played for King Crimson last tour. Wow.
These drums sound great.
These drums sound amazing. How do you get this Letterman gig? You get to come and just play a drum solo.
Well, Letterman loves drummers, so
I know, but how does this happen? Hear those kicks?
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, man.
that is one good sounded drum kit.
Yeah, he's killing it. It's very musical. It wasn't I mean, I know we didn't finish it, but at that point, what I enjoyed about it most is that it was more musical than choppy.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, he's playing into the tones and the musicality of the notes of the drums, and that's some of my favorite stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let me ask you something.
Okay.
So we were chatting on Instagram a little bit. I alluded to it earlier. You said the breaking down of the feel of a single chord note is the basis of my musical
Oh,
philosophy.
okay. You want to go there?
I want to go there. Talk to me about that.
Man. All right. A little bit of my history will explain this because
Love
it's
it.
the evolution. So I've been playing drums since I was 2. Before you had social media putting kids on film saying like they're the prodigy.
Yeah.
I was one of those kids without all the glitz, right? Which I
Yeah.
think is I'm grateful for that
Hell yeah.
because coming up, it was a bunch of kids that were like that. So it was like you just another one of them and cool, you know. So it wasn't a lot of hype around it. It was just like, okay, what are you gonna do? So starting that early, when I was like 12, 13, 14, I was in the Dennis Chambers, not Dennis, yeah, Dennis Chambers, Dave Wuckel world. So I was playing and trying to emulate those guys very early on. And then I outgrew that very quickly. So by the time I was 18, 19, which is the age of when a lot of my friends started playing music,
Mm-hmm.
you know, coming into drumming or whatever, they were coming in hot on the Dennis Chambers, the Dave Wuckels, the choppers at the time, the really crazy players. And I was coming out of it. I was going into the singer songwriter, like the people who were cutting records,
Yeah.
the Steve Gadds, the Vinnies, even,
Yeah.
but cutting certain records. I won't say records, but like cutting singer songwriter records that had songs that were telling stories. So Carlos Vega,
Totally with you.
yeah, Jeff Porcaro, like I was going head deep into that stuff. Still understanding where I came from, studying like the Dave Wuckels and all that. But those notes were very different from the notes that I was starting to learn about. I went from playing splashes and wanting splashes and playing 14, 16-inch crashes to wanting to play 20 crashes,
Yeah.
no splashes,
Yep.
16 hi-hats, you know, cymbals that had a fuller note versus a quick note.
Yep.
All these notes are still quarter. You hit it once in time, you could get a quarter. So I started to understand what the modern drummer was as far as the definition that I understood at the time. And modern drumming was that of a certain kind of sound, a certain way you tune your drums. You started seeing 8-inch, 10-inch toms incorporated in the drum set. So they were quicker, shorter notes, splashes, all that stuff. So when I talk about the quarter note, it's evolution of the things I've learned from even Steve Jordan talking about in his DVD back in the day, where he's talking about how he understood the value of a note, a quarter note, and you learn that by playing timpani. I played timpani, so when you understand the value of a quarter note, you understand in timpani playing that you have to start it and stop it.
Yes.
Guitar players know that too, because you can't let notes just hang out, you know. So as a drummer, understanding that, I think that gave me a good advantage of understanding which notes are necessary for whatever music you're playing.
Yes.
So going from the piccolo, small, tight, short snare sound to like a fuller, thicker sound. So I enjoy understanding that like a quarter note can be as short or as long as you want it to be.
That's it.
Is it. And that also determines the kind of player you are, the kind of music you tend to play
Yeah.
and gravitate to. And the reason why so many of us feel differently when we're playing music, you know, there are a lot of
It's the
players.
duration.
Yeah, it's the duration of your quarter note.
Yeah.
And if you play shorter quarter notes, you tend to play more notes because you hear your space is shorter. So you're trying to feel space,
Yeah.
right? the fuller the note is, the more weighty the music feels or the groove feels. And that's the difference. That's the best way I could articulate it. It takes time to kind of like, I'm still trying to figure out how to articulate it, but you know it when you hear it.
For sure.
Everyone knows it. I don't think everybody knows how to articulate it, but everybody knows it when they hear it.
Yeah, I the way I always try to explain it with people is that what is it when a band is grooving together? Like, what is it when you have that pocket? And like, I always felt it was like when everybody's duration of the note, not the attack, but the duration of the note, and their dynamics were the same, right? Because everybody can clap at the same time and hit at the same time.
Yeah.
But is it don't or don't?
Yeah.
And is the attack and the squeeze the same for everybody?
Yep. I have my brother is a bass player, and when we were coming up and he started playing with me, I would have to give him an understanding of like what note was necessary for what was happening with how I was feeling the note.
Yeah.
Because he would play shorter note, like long. We had codes. I was like long, and he knew what that meant. It meant hold your notes a little bit longer, and that it changes the feeling of sections of music too, because it gives dimensions and dynamics. So understanding that, man, it's the magic of music, because the origins of music, I always say this, American music is every style of music we talk about. The only difference is how you treat that note.
Mm-hmm.
But it's all the same. It's all rooted in the same thing. You just have to know how to speak that language of what the value of that note should be and feel like.
Yeah.
It's not complicated, but maybe it is, I guess. I mean, because not everybody pays attention to the same thing.
Well, that, and it's not the shiny stuff, that gets everybody's attention. What I talk about from the guitar world is a hunt for the inside. Not all the flash and all that, but like what actually makes it what it is. And so I have my oldest kid just started a rock band, and I'm like kind of coaching them. I used to coach kids rock bands forever, and one thing I have them do is everybody's on their instrument. You just give them one note and one groove, right? And it's just like, and we practice everything from letting that note, everybody hit together and let it ring out all the way until the next note, and then as short as possible and everything in between, and practice everybody hearing that duration.
Yeah, man.
And teaching that before we start, working on to the next thing, right?
That's really good.
And here's another one which works really, really well, especially with kids that have issues with timing and stuff, with everybody coming in at the same time and trying to keep their own time. I make them hit about as hard as they can together, or clap as hard as they can together, because the harder you hit, the longer you have to wait until you can go, right?
Yep.
And so the more sure you have to be about where it is, because you're going as fast as possible. And when I try to get kids to clap and it's like nice and light or whatever, like, that's the hardest thing to do it quiet. But we start super loud and then go quiet. So anyway, but you're still talking one hit and then durations of one note. But like, that's where I like to start bands, because like, that's the real stuff. But it's just,
that's the real stuff.
It's not the shiny, glittery stuff,
Well,
and attention to.
Back in the day, nobody even told you that. You had to figure it out. I had to figure that stuff out on my own. It was kind of like, you play with enough people and you just like, why do they want it this way? And what are they looking for when I don't get it quite right? And you have to want to know. Yeah. And they didn't know how to tell you. They were just like, that's not how it goes.
That ain't right.
Boy, don't that ain't right. You had to really figure it out. But I came from a dad. Thankfully, my dad would play music and we'll listen to it and he'll pause it. He's like, hey, so why did they do that right there?
That's amazing.
He would question me to think about, not just aimlessly just play it or listen to it. He's like, what's happening here and why is it happening here? And so that's the thing. I like that we have these conversations because people we didn't have these conversations back in the day. You know, no one talked like this. So it's necessary to do that.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna show this little quote that one of our mods found from Chabbers. Said Terrence is the only drummer I've ever worked with who's ever asked me what the song's about and what the lyrics are. Proof that his playing is spiritual, not just technical. That makes
Oh,
sense.
Travers.
Yeah.
That's T. What's up, T?
Dude, that's a good quote.
Wow. I mean, I think that's important. I mean, you're storytelling. It's not about your instrument. It's about the story that the person is trying to relay. And I think that's why life is life. It helps to have life experiences to know how to try to best relate to the stories that you got to be part of.
Totally.
It has really less to do with musicianship. There are tons of people out here kicking ass, man. Straight up.
It's daunting.
Yeah, like that's not the point. The point is the human experience, and that is storytelling and leaving stories behind so people find something that they can relate to or feel less alone.
That's it.
You know, and so that's what the human experience has always been about, is storytelling. So I think, you know, he just exposed me there, because that's something that you just do at a session, right? It's like you get to know the artist, and sometimes you don't have the luxury of knowing the artist before you walk into the session. So it's like, how can I get to know this person? And sometimes they don't know why they wrote the song. They don't know the meaning.
Right.
But that even informs you on the kind of person that you're working with, right? It's like, okay, you know, it's a psychological experience when you're in the studio creating with people that you've never worked with, and you have to get to know them or figure out ways to find common ground as authentically and quickly as you possibly can.
Yeah, that's a world I know very little bit about. But I'm so intrigued. Like I can just imagine you go in like, yeah, I'm going to be here for this amount of hours or whatever, but you have to completely try to enter into that person's mindset.
Yeah, you don't want to just show up like a hired gun. I mean, there are people who do that. I don't function well like that.
Yeah.
You know, like I think about legacy. So if I'm here, part of this moment, it's not just the artist. It's like I'm on here too if they decide to keep the track, right? So I want it to matter. I want to care about it. I want you to know that I care about it. And this is not just another gig to get paid. This is my name on it too. I'm a part of this experience. And that's a certain value and worth that I was taught to have. It's not ego. It's not arrogance. It's like knowing that I am bringing something to the table. If someone called me to be there, right, I'm meant to be there. I'm bringing something to the table. So I want to best serve that.
Yes.
Not just best do the job quickly and get a check. And funny.
You're not a commodity. You're you.
No, man. You know, there are a lot of people who can do that. They'll do a song. They see a chart, knock it out. Cool. Go to the next studio, knock that out. Cool. The music that moved me and the music that I come from, the legacy that I come from, that's not how it was made.
Yeah.
It was made from a real place of connectivity and like care and intention. And it's funny we're talking about this because the next clip is very much an example. Example of that.
Which one?
It's the Steve Gadd one. Oh my gosh. He's playing this song. It's a legendary clip, man. It's like incredible. He's playing this song and he's trying to get the ending right, and he misses it. And it's 3 takes. But every take, he is on fire. He is intentional. He does something different every time.
I love that.
Every time. It's a whole nother world that he's floating out of. And he misses it the first time. He's like, oh, and then he's like, how's the end go? And there's no frustration. Well, there's frustration, but it's not like, F this, I'm over this. Every time he cares.
Yeah.
Every take he cares. And then when you get to the third one, you're just like, oh.
And he's just going for it, and he gets it.
Every time.
Okay. All right. I don't think I've seen this either. I'm ready to go.
It's legendary. You watch the whole thing.
All right. Bam. By the way, thanks for teeing that one up.
Yeah.
You hear him yelling. So good.
He always has some kind of backbeat groove, even in the middle of all of that.
Filthy.
Hit it. He thought it was about to end. Here we go. He's still gonna miss it.
Oh, he wanted those hits there.
Fun.
Do it one more time, man, please. We can't do it
Was
right.
that the ending?
Yeah.
Dude, this is tremendous. Every piece of this is tremendous. I love this so much. Okay.
It's so much joy, man. Even in the mess up, he's laughing, right? He's like, okay. Oh.
Oh, okay. All right, here we go. Just easing into it.
Yeah.
Dude, everything's different.
Yep. Dynamics. Oh. Oh. Now he's finna just groove this joint. He's grooving it out. Hey! 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 Yes!
Yes, he got the hits that time. Yeah. Dude,
It's incredible.
that okay. That was incredible. That's
Dude, I'm sweating over here, dude. I'm sweating.
oh man, I love seeing that so much. I mean, for everybody watching, I mean, I love seeing absolutely fearless players, but also play with such incredible joy.
Yeah, man.
And doing completely different attempts at the same thing. Like
It's like why try to do something different, like the same. It's every one of those takes I could hear what he was exploring, what he was saying.
yeah.
The only thing was he was just like, I missed the end. It's like all of them could have been takes.
Yeah, totally. Any one of those, but like, man, the freedom with which he was playing, but also the confidence and conviction. Like I love the parts where he just has his hands up, he messes with his headphones, and just comes in with a stab.
Exactly. But the space, he'll stop.
Space.
He'll stop just to make sure he enforces space and the one, like starting over. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't hear that a lot in soloing anymore. You hear everybody just driving through. You don't hear just a moment of pause.
Yeah.
It's just beautiful, man.
Just weightless moments. That's the stuff dreams are made of. That.
Oh, dude.
Thank you.
Yeah,
you for
man.
that one. I'm gonna have to cut this into its own clip. All right. Well, I know we said an hour. We got time for your last one,
cool.
and then we'll close.
Yeah. That sounds good. So
right,
you want me to
this
set
last
this one up?
Yeah.
Okay.
Tee me up.
This is the first time I think I really ever saw Steve Jordan. My dad had this DVD. It's James Taylor Live at the Beacon.
Yeah.
It is a legendary performance. I think I could be wrong, but I think this was right after Carlos Vega passed away, and they had this show scheduled, and they called Steve last minute, and he came in, and this was him playing this gig for the first time.
Really?
And it was like incredible. And right away, when you see this is the first song that starts, they do this tribute song that I think it was for Carlos, and then they do this song. And as soon as they started off, the thing I want people to notice is how James turns around, like, damn, like, yeah, man.
Yeah, he's
like
on.
out the gate, he's on, and they engage with a smile and a vote of like, I got you.
Yeah.
Like Steve's like, I got you. And James is like, he felt taken care of. That is something that, as a drummer, as a musician, I seek to see that smile of enjoyment in the inner child of the artist that I'm working with, to turn around and they like, oh my God.
The inner child. I love that.
Yeah, man. That's the whole point of it. It's we're playing.
Yep.
It's like sport. We're playing. So to get so serious about this stuff, it becomes adult-ish, and I don't like that. I think we have to still have a demeanor of play, inner child. We have wisdom with it, but it's playing, man.
Yeah.
You know. So, this moment, this clip, you don't have to play the whole thing, but the beginning of it and watching Steve just,
all right, here
it's a masterclass, man. Yeah, babe.
I love it. I love it. That's it. Playing. Well, dude, Terence, this has been so much fun, man. Thanks for doing this, brother.
Thank you, bro. We got to do it again. It's so much to talk about.
I would love to, man. And so real quick, where can everybody find you? Obviously, if you can catch them on tour with Keith Urban, but and the links are in the description. But what else do you have going on? Man,
right now, that's the biggest thing. I have some solo projects coming out that I worked on during COVID. My first ever solo releases. That I'm excited about. I have an experimental trio band called Spiral Phonics.
Okay.
That live record is coming out in October, and we're going to release it only on Bandcamp at first, and then other things. So keep an eye out for that. But my website, terencefclark.com.
Yep.
I'm recording. I'm touring with Keith Urban. Yeah, a lot of stuff. I'm open and available for any and all things that are great.
I love it, man. Well, dude, if you ever make it through the Baltimore Mid-Atlantic area, please give me a shout.
For sure, bro.
Yeah, dude, I'd love to have you up here and make a proper video, do a recording or something. It'd be fun.
Yeah, that'd be great.
And yeah, if you ever come through on tour, I'll come out and say hi. That'd be fun.
Always. That's easy.
All right. Well, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. Hope you had a real fun Tuesday. Hope you got to know Terence a little bit. Make sure you go give him a follow if you would. Mods, thanks for all you do. Thanks for keeping it safe out there. And thanks for everybody for just being a part of this amazing community where we're trying to find new music every day to keep us motivated and inspired to play, man. So, Terence, you hang on for 1 second. Everybody, I'll see you real soon. Cheers.